The world of professional wrestling has made amazing strides in highlighting women's competition in their programming. It's no longer a big deal to have women main eventing major shows. It's just something that happens when the match or storyline warrants it. With the introduction of secondary women's titles on both Raw and SmackDown, that gives the women more things to build storylines around. Female talent are seen as equals when it comes to being a ratings draw or selling merchandise. There are even bidding wars for some of wrestling's top names. And just like the guys, the women have some pretty intense backstage fights as well. Although, to be fair, the backstage beef started long before the WWE started taking women's wrestling seriously. I'm Senior Siete for 7 Wrestling. Let's take a look at 7 more real-life WWE women's feuds. Now, before we get into this, we appreciate your support, so if you enjoy this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and slap the disarmor on that notification bell. Number 1. Crazy Determined. When the WWE talks about the women's evolution and how it blossomed, they like to talk about the time Trish Stratus and Lita were the first women to ever main event an episode of Monday Night Raw, although that wasn't the first time. Lita and Stephanie McMahon had main evented in 2000, and it was also recently brought to my attention that Alundra Blaze and Bertha Faye main evented Raw all the way back in 1995. I would, however, understand why they wouldn't want to remind us of the Bertha Faye gimmick. They talk about the Give Divas a Chance hashtag that started organically on Twitter. This all began on the February 23rd, 2015 episode of Monday Night Raw, where a tag match between the Bella Twins and Paige and Emma was given 25 seconds of ring time. Honestly, the ring entrances were longer. They talk about the emergence of the 4 Horsewomen. They talk about the first women's pay-per-view main event. They talk about the first all-women's WWE pay-per-view. And they talk about the first time women main evented WrestleMania. However, they don't talk about AJ Lee that often, which is surprising, especially now that her husband CM Punk is back in the company's good graces. And there is quite a story to tell about AJ Lee. She was the Divas champion for well over a year. She was the general manager of Monday Night Raw, and I believe she was the first woman to open and close the same episode of Raw. AJ Lee didn't quite have the easiest time climbing to the top of the WWE. In her book, Crazy's My Superpower, she discusses how her time through WWE developmental was challenging, as they all appreciated that she was a great character and a very talented wrestler, but that nobody would want to have sex with her. This person. They didn't think a single person would want that. It didn't get easier when she made it to the main roster, as she had to fight a writing staff that wanted to turn her into a crazy woman who had psychotic breaks and danced with imaginary dinosaurs. All that said, you have to wonder if the reason she isn't highlighted today has something to do with the run-in she had with Stephanie McMahon. Ironically, on the morning of the day that would later launch the Give Divas a Chance hashtag, Stephanie went to Twitter to congratulate Patricia Arquette for giving a moving speech during the Academy Awards that advocated for equal pay for women. The next day, AJ Lee would respond, "Your female wrestlers have record-selling merchandise and have starred in the highest-rated segments of the show several times, and yet they receive a fraction of the wages and screen time of the majority of the male roster." Ooh, snap. Stephanie would gracefully respond, saying, "Thank you, AJ Lee, I respect your opinion." But according to reports, she was furious about being called out in such a public forum. And it's been said that Vince McMahon was the one who convinced her not to lash out or punish Lee on air because the WWE would look like the bad guys. Yeah, you totally would. Now, that being said, let me wrap my brain around Vince being the voice of reason. Number 2, this is bad TV. The WWE Diva Search was a talent competition and reality show concept used by the WWE to recruit new female performers who could succeed both as in-ring talent and entertainment personalities. And it was arguably pretty successful. Through this program, they ended up with names like Ashley Massaro, Eve Torres, and our girlfriend, Layla L. Believe me, the 2004 edition was one for the books, with the final 28 including names like Michelle McCool, Candice Michelle, Maria Kanellis, and Christy Hemme. Oh hey, this person was a part of it too. When it was all said and done, Christy Hemme emerged victorious over the 2004 Playmate of the Year, Carmella de Cesare. Now, Jerry Lawler liked to mention in his commentary that deep down, all women seem to hate each other, which is very on brand for wrestling's reigning weird uncle. But the 2004 Diva Search contestants did their best to prove him right. In particular, everybody hated Carmella. This all came to a head on the August 30th, 2004 episode of Monday Night Raw in a segment called Diss the Diva. Before the competition got underway, it was revealed that Maria Kanellis had been eliminated. She gave Joy Giovanni, Amy Weber, and Christy Hemme hugs on the way out, and then she proceeded to give Carmella the double bird. This would just be a precursor to what could arguably be the lewdest segment in WWE history. Each one of the 4 contestants was given 30 seconds and a microphone and told that they had to talk smack on the 3 other contestants. Joy went first and had a few tame words for Amy and Christy, but she had reserved most of her time for Carmella, who she lit up. Amy would go next and would follow suit, going easy on Christy and Joy, before honing in on Carmella, saying that having a cock in your mouth has nothing to do with wrestling, and also calling her a whore. Live TV, baby. Now, when Carmella was given her shot to retort, she called Amy out for trying out for Playboy and failing, and then called Joy a poor role model for her child. Then she told Christy that if she can't win herself, that she hopes Christy wins. Finally, Christy starts cutting somewhat of a wrestling promo, accusing Joy of shaking too much and Amy of having fish lips, nothing too harsh. That's before she calls Carmella oh boy. All right. Forgive me, YouTube. She calls Carmella a burping gutter slut. You can use some of those words on TV, but what you can't throw coffee. Were we just talking about Brad Maddox getting fired for saying cocky pricks? Apparently, Carmella was seen as being stuck up by the other competitors. She was accused of showing up late to the events and that she wasn't really interested in working for the WWE at all. In an interview with the Girls Next Level podcast, Carmella would say, "They said every nasty name that they could call me, and it was so awkward too because you're walking in this locker room and they're all talking about you and you're walking in, you hear it all, and it's like, well, what am I supposed to say? It's like 1 against 12 people. It was just the most uncomfortable, uneasy, and I'm like, I don't need this. I didn't need the money at that point, but I wanted to be, even after, I wanted to continue working for WWE because once the content portion was done, it was fun and I actually liked the winner. The winner was nice. It was Christy Hemme. She was great, but the rest of them were awful." Whoa, Christy Hemme was great? Wow, I guess some friends have that kind of relationship where you can call each other burping gutter sluts. Number 3, Alexa's Avenger. It's well known that Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax have been besties for quite some time. Look at them. They're adorable. Here's Nia and The Miz hamming it up at Alexa Bliss's wedding. Here's Nia and Alexa doing the tight pants dance with Miz, Maurice, and Titus O'Neil. Apparently they were friends from day one when Nia Jax showed up early to her WWE tryout and Alexa was able to help her out. Meet cute. So, it stands to reason that Nia might not like it when a certain performer who hasn't had a ton of professional wrestling training started injuring her little buddy. In a Zoom call with several WWE superstars, Jax would tell the story of Bliss being continuously injured by this wrestler. Bliss refused to talk to management about it because she wanted to be a team player, but Jax put her foot down and went to the higher-ups and tried to convince them to let her take Bliss's place. Later, in an interview with Alex McCarthy, Nia wouldn't sugarcoat who the other wrestler was, saying flat out that she was talking about Ronda Rousey. This wouldn't be the first time the Irresistible Force would have something negative to say about Rousey, as the two had butted heads previously during the filming of Total Divas. Also, before a Raw tag team match that was set to feature Rousey and Natalya squaring off against Nia and Tamina, Rousey went to Instagram to say, "The Irresistible Force and the Monolithic Mute are apparently some busy ladies with no time to spare to catch the ass whooping that's coming to them." Seems like a pretty normal pro wrestling response from Ronda. "We're gonna whoop ya." Also, points for Monolithic Mute. But Jax responded with, "I don't have time for a social media war. Spend less time on here and more time learning how to wrestle." Ooh, That hits a little bit below the kilt. This didn't stop the two from working together, though, as they squared off several times in the ring. But the insults from Jax didn't even stop after Rousey left the company in 2023. In an interview with Q105.7, where Nia Jax was praising Shayna Baszler, she couldn't help but get in another dig at Rousey, who was at that time working for Ring of Honor. She'd say, "Baszler is a great expert at her judo moves. She's a former UFC fighter. She did take out Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey just got sent to a whole other company lesser than us. Eesh. Well, we appreciate Nia having her friend Alexa Bliss's back, but Nia Jax calling someone out for hurting their opponents? Pot, kettle, etc." Number 4. How do you solve a problem like Melina? Oh boy, where do we even start with this one? Alright, Melina's time in the WWE during the Ruthless Aggression era was one that was filled with controversy and rumors. There are some who say that Lita kicked her out of the women's dressing room for being a locker room cancer. She was brought in front of the wrestler's court due to her uncontrollable ego. She persuaded John Morrison to be a jerk to Trish Stratus because she feels like Trish returned and stole her spot at WrestleMania. She was fooling around with Batista around John Morrison's back. Now, it's hard to know the truth in all these scenarios because the information is so vague, and in a previous video we discussed the well-known issues between Melina and Candice Michelle, but Candice was far from the only person that Melina rubbed the wrong way. No pun intended. Over the course of her time in the WWE system, Melina had a bit of a dust-up with Mickie James. Now, according to blogs that Melina would post on her personal website, this apparently started when Melina arrived at WWE Developmental and Mickie was not very nice to her. This escalated when Melina was called up to the main roster with the tag team M&M in early 2005, while Mickie didn't get called up until later that year. Melina would accuse Mickie of intentionally trying to hurt her in the ring, sleeping with other people to get ahead, and appearing in adult photo shoots, as well as stealing Melina's moves and style. Whatever the issues were between the two, they were able to put things aside and have some pretty good matches together, including a wild Falls Count Anywhere match that took place in 2007 on Monday Night Raw, and another good bout at Backlash of the same year. Hey, people forget that before the Montreal Screwjob happened, Bret and Shawn, who hated each other at the time, were having a pretty good match up to that point. Maybe the best part of this scenario, as was the case with Candice Michelle, is that Melina has made an effort to mend fences over the years, and it seems like she has a positive relationship with Mickie James these days. The duo were reunited for NWA Power, and in an interview with Alistair McGeorge, Melina said, "That's my sister from the beginning of my career till the end of this time. We were born in the same year, everything. It's so funny how our lives are just so paralleled in this." And in subsequent interviews, Mickie has said that Melina brought out the best in her. Aww, love to see it. Number 5, the original Screwjob. Alright, we all know the tale of the Montreal Screwjob, but if you stumbled onto this video by mistake and were sucked in by my witty observations, here's a quick overview.
In 1996, Vince McMahon signed Bret Hart to a mega contract. In 1997, Vince realizes that he's getting his ass handed to by WCW and can't afford Bret anymore. He encourages Bret to reach out to WCW for a contract. Bret does, and is slated to leave the company, but Bret is the defending WWE champion. Vince asks Bret to drop the belt to Shawn at Survivor Series. Bret refuses because he doesn't want to lose to Shawn in his home country because Shawn's a dick. Eventually, Vince works with Shawn and the referee Earl Hebner to make it look like Bret submitted to Shawn in the sharpshooter. Bret punches Vince. Vince uses the attention to become the biggest bad guy in the industry. This helps propel WWE to ratings victory. WCW Flanders. Vince buys WCW and scene.
Woo! But it's important to note that there is a precedence for Vince using screwy shenanigans to get a belt off of someone before he kicked them to the curb. In 1984, Vince brought the wildly popular singer Cyndi Lauper into the WWE to feud with Lou Albano, who had previously appeared as Lauper's father in her Girls Just Wanna Have Fun music video. To put this into perspective for our younger viewers, this would be like if Sabrina Carpenter came in for a WrestleMania program with Paul Heyman. I mean, I guess. I don't know modern music, I just like these pictures. At MTV's The Brawl That Ended All on July 23rd, 1984, where Lauper managed Wendi Richter against Albano's client, WWF Women's Champion, the Fabulous Moolah. Moolah had been a mentor to Richter, which wasn't uncommon as Moolah ruled the women's wrestling business with an iron fist around this time. And in a controversial finish, Richter defeated Moolah, ending what the WWE had been billing as Moolah's 28-year title reign, though her actual reign was probably closer to 7 years at this point. The match was historic, delivering MTV's highest ratings to date and sparking the rock and wrestling connection, a crossover between music and professional wrestling. Following this, Richter lost the title to Moolah's protege, Leilani Kai, in early 1985 at the War to settle the score, but she regained it at the inaugural WrestleMania a month later. During her WWE tenure, Richter adopted the moniker 150 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal, was featured in Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling Saturday morning cartoon, as well as Cyndi Lauper's video for She Bop. By any measure, Wendi Richter had become a breakout star. Unfortunately, she wasn't being paid like one. For example, Hulk Hogan reportedly received around $300,000 for his role in the main event of the first WrestleMania, while Richter, who was in a heavily featured undercard match, only received $5,000. In the book Sisterhood of the Squared Circle, The History and Rise of Women's Wrestling, Richter would say, "McMahon didn't want to pay me. I was being paid what the people in opening matches were being paid." Wendi was scheduled to defend her title at Madison Square Garden on November 25th of that same year against a masked opponent known as the Spider. Oh, I've seen this. Oh, no, wait. I'm sorry. It's different. During the match, the Spider deviated from the planned outcome, hitting Richter's shoulders to the mat. Despite Richter kicking out after one count, the referee, who was obviously in on the plan, quickly counted to 3, awarding the victory to the Spider. After the bell, Richter unmasked her opponent, revealing it to be the fabulous Moolah in disguise. The controversial plan, orchestrated by McMahon, was designed to strip Richter of the title after she refused to sign a new contract. Richter maintained that she was still under her original 5-year deal, but often clashed with McMahon over pay disputes, with her hoping to receive royalties for appearances in the Saturday morning cartoon, among other things. A furious Richter stormed out of the arena in her gear, took a cab to the airport, and left New York, never speaking to her former mentor, the fabulous Moolah, ever again. Number 6. Lunar Eclipse of the Sun. Come on. You know we can't do a real-life women's wrestling feuds list without the patron saint of starting stuff with people backstage, Tammy Sunny Sytch. Last time we talked about her most famous rivalry, that being her legendary SmackDown with Sable during the Attitude Era. Maybe someday we'll get to Kimberly Paige getting her kicked out of WCW, but no. This feud with Luna Vachon is from 2 very different perspectives. To hear former WWE writer Vince Russo tell the story on the Wrestling Outlaws podcast, "I was by the girls' locker room and there was nobody else in sight. Bro, Luna hated Sable and Sunny because she was old school and this TNA diva crap, like she hated them with a passion. And I'll never forget, bro." I'm going to hit pause right there. Please know that I'm not adding any of the bros into this for effect. Okay, sorry. Back to Russo's account. It was in a hallway and Luna was cutting a promo on Sunny. Now, bro, like anybody with half a brain who would know, Luna would kill Sunny in like 5 seconds. So Luna is cutting this promo and there is no one in sight. And bro, Sunny starts popping back off at Luna. And I'm just standing there because, bro, that's what I'm talking about. Right from wrong. That's not the right thing to do. She is going to kill you. So, bro, I remember I see this and I thought she was going to kill her, bro. So I got between them and Sunny kept mouthing off. And bro, Luna went through me, took me down to the ground to get to Sunny. Okay, maybe it's not surprising that Luna, who is a second-generation star and took the business very seriously, would take exception to having women like Sunny and Sable come into the company and be the top stars. And if Sunny was mouthing off to her, you could understand why she'd be so upset. But that isn't how Sunny paints the relationship at all. In her book, A Star Shattered, The Rise and Fall and Rise of a Wrestling Diva, wait, is that seriously the title of her book? Might want to add another fall in there somewhere. Sorry. In her book, Sunny describes a very loving relationship between her and Luna, even referring to her as Mama Luna at different points. Oh, she absolutely still describes a brawl. But in Sunny's telling of the story, she was just walking down the hallway when Luna attacked her, climbing on top of her and beating her head until her knuckles are bloody. Yikes. Sunny would later learn from a crying Luna that the attack had been provoked by Sable, who had told Luna that Sunny was talking trash about her behind her back. So, which account is accurate? Come on, you're expecting me to listen to 2 stories from Vince Russo and Tammy Sytch and figure out who's telling the truth? Man, I'd have better luck finding that Metallica album where Hulk Hogan plays bass. Number 7. Love Triangle. We've said it before, we're gonna say it again, we just don't care about Alberto Del Rio. Even before his career hit the toilet and he was outed as some kind of a creep, we just didn't dig him. His matches didn't do anything for us, we never understood why he was given so much. We'll never forgive him for being the endgame for John Cena's amazing US Open challenge. We'll never forgive him for being the Money in the Bank cash-in that ended the summer of Punk. Add to that the creepy May-December Mickey and Mallory thing he had going on with Paige. You got a recipe for disaster. The couple became Instagram official in May of 2016 when they posted pictures of them kissing at Disney World. They got matching tattoos, got in trouble with police in Las Vegas, were suspended by the WWE for wellness violations. Paige proposed during an indie show. Oh, I'm sorry. Forgot to mention that Alberto Del Rio was still married during all this, although, in his defense, he was going through divorce proceedings. You know, love. But a little tidbit that gets lost in the sauce is the fact that Del Rio had briefly dated Charlotte Flair right before he paired up with Paige, and this had created quite a bit of friction between the second-generation superstars. And what's worse is that Vince McMahon wanted to use this real-life heat as a catalyst for a feud between the former members of Team PCB. Which would be borderline cruel, as in a previous feud between the duo, McMahon had Paige make fun of Charlotte's deceased younger brother Reed on Monday Night Raw when she was scripted to say, "Your little baby brother, he didn't have much fight in him, did he?" In their defense, Charlotte didn't take issue with the line, but her mother clearly did. Reportedly, this ill-advised angle was shot down because Triple H thought it would have made Del Rio's ego explode, and he advised Vince against it. And, seeing as where the Del Rio-Paige romance went from there, it was probably for the best to get as far away from this duo as possible. Well, there's our list. Did we forget any other real-life WWE women's feuds? If so, please leave them in the comments section below. Also, if you enjoyed this, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and figure eight that notification bell. Until next time, I'm Singer Siete for 7 Wrestling saying bye-bye.